Howdy all you delicious people. I am here today to finally reveal my movie physical media. I have gone on and probably at some points shown pictures of it. I've gone on to eventually in some reviews showcase some of it, but very rarely have I gone on and actually fully pulled this stuff out and showcased it to you. You could probably very much understand more of my taste and then also question a lot of it. But regardless, I am to just say that I'm going out of my way to just show all this stuff anyways, because feasibly, I think that this collection of physical media for me is more complete than it probably ever has been, because often I'm to rely much more so on apps for things, and I can kind of see everything at this point. So, but I from time to time, I'm always tempted to just find physical media. So, let's go on and let's just start getting through this. So, also, a little heads up, I'm a very tall man. So feasibly, I may not exactly be always in frame, but I'll try my best to always try to be as best here as I can be. So, let's get into this. So, first off, Deadpool 2. A collection piece there. And these are to be alphabetical, so that's the only way I can keep everything straight. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I actually really did enjoy that movie, but a lot of people are like, well, what kind of slop is that? I completely understand. Ace Ventura, this is a collection version that has both movies, Nature Calls and the original. This one I question how much I should actually show, but this is to be from a movie called A Chinese Torture Chamber Story, which visually just really interesting, very unique, and also be very much questioned of my tastes and what have you, but I don't care. I just find weird crap, and I'm like, okay, buy the DVD, because it's cheap. Christmas Story? You shoot your eye out, kid. Yeah, that goes on and on throughout the film, but God, is it such a fun family film, as well as it just being so many things in the film that are to be these kind of unique experiences within it. A Clockwork Orange on Blu-ray. I actually have a Blu-ray of something. Probably another one of those weird taste films. You have the singing of the whole Singing in the Rain song, and it's a very, the gang attacks and so on and so forth. It's a movie that of course is not to be for everyone, but regardless, I would suggest find it unique of an experience to just want to keep it as a DVD. Artificial Intelligence with Jude Law. Very interesting, just kind of visual film and movie about robots and kind of reminds me of so many other things that eventually were to end up being around that time, like the iRobots and everything like that just kind of came out. Akira. I think at some point I did review this on the channel. Yeah, I did. And it is, again, like I mostly just like to choose movies just for their heavily visual appeals. And also for how oftentimes people are to tell me like, oh man, yeah, this is a big movie. And I'm like, okay, I keep hearing about this movie. So I'm like, I might as well just finally relent and just finally check it out. All Superheroes Must Die. I believe that this also had an alternative title. This is to be a very like low budget superhero film, but I found some enjoyment out of it for how eventually is to be all about like these heroes kind of being stuck in this one town, and we need to figure out a way to escape it all and get through these kind of certain tasks that a supervillain is to be presenting to them. A History of Violence, Viggo Mortensen. Really interesting tale where you kind of have a character that just goes into a town, and then we come to find out that he isn't exactly who he says he is at all. And the mystery of all of that to be uncovered as it is to eventually continue on to be this interesting tale of the reveal of who he is to be said he is, and then eventually the reveal of whether he is or not. Heath Ledger's Knight's Tale, very, very good film. I like medieval times kind of movies anyways, so it was an easy win for me, as well as also just seeing a movie that deals with jousting. Anyways, Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, because regardless of how I feel about the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I just wanted a physical copy of them just to, like, have some time elapsed to just be like, well, maybe it is better than I thought it originally was, because that's kind of how I felt about it. American Psycho, a very interesting Christian Bale film that is to deal with music as well as also just kind of like, I'm not sure if it's in a comedy or not. Here's something that might go on and seem a little weird. America's Sweethearts. I watched this late at night and I enjoyed it. I like the whole I like John Cusack movies. I'm a sucker for it. And the whole is Julia and Cusack's character going to end up together was just really fascinating to me. An American Tail and An American Tail Fiesta Goes West, or Fievel Goes West. Fiesta. Fievel. I was like, American Ultra. I think this is one of those where it was like an impulse buy, where like I had no idea what this movie is, but it just looked really interesting to me, and then I watched it. I'm like, okay, Topher Grace is in the film, and like it was interesting about the whole sleeper agent idea, but An American Werewolf in Paris, oh, just still the ultimate just werewolf movie, a very classic film. An American Werewolf in Paris, regardless of its poor CGI, I can go on and like both of those films equally, even though, of course, obviously, there's the a kind of a more interesting part of the London movie that is to be much more of an appeal. Anaconda. I have not seen the newer one yet. I'm tempted to. But it was interesting to find out that Ice Cube is also in the more current one, which is kind of funny. Anchorman. Honestly enough, like, I can find this movie to be funny still to this day, but also I never quite get the absolute love that this movie has also. Like, I don't know, to me, I'm just like, I can get it, but not quite. But that's just me. Anger Management. Eventually having the whole Goose Rabaugh thing, and eventually having Adam Sandler be such a nice guy to eventually having him finally snap and him just like going wild is just a fun film to see. Ant-Man. I think this is the only one that I'm honestly willing to have collected. The sequel ones are just like, no. Samuel Jackson, Kevin Lutz film Arena. I have probably seen this multiple times just because of how many numerous times I've had to kind of re-review it or whatever on this channel. This movie is surprisingly, besides some certain pieces that come off very goofy, this film is so entertaining. It kind of feels like a Mortal Kombat, a video game kind of movie. But I know a lot of people will probably write it off as just a cheesy whatever kind of film. But I enjoy it. Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Armageddon. Surprisingly a really funny film for how it's the end of the world. You get there's so many side characters that are the driller guys, and like you have the one guy that has the mom tattoo, and yeah, like, and eventually you have so many characters that deliver so many laughs in this movie beyond it being such a world-ending serious film. Even though also, like, when eventually they did Armageddon, it seemed that they had to kind of try and copy that formula and other things. Arthur. You guys remember that film, Arthur? I don't know if I should be showing both back and in front of I have no idea. I feel that I have so many movies to show that I'm just like, Assassin's Creed. I know what everybody's thinking, that a lot of people probably thought that this movie is garbage. To me, I was an Assassin's Creed fan, so I was to just check this movie out regardless. And yeah, it's nothing like the games that seem to match up. And I was like, what is this movie? Having the guy who's the main Fassbender, the main, yeah, Fassbender. In this movie, I'm like, that was an odd choice. As well as also just like the way that it was all put together was just like, man, this is so weird. But like, I kept it after seeing it because I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll go back to it and somehow enjoy it. But anyways, Assault on Precinct 13. I had reviewed this movie at some point on the channel. Really interesting, just kind of escape movie where all the people are kind of stuck in this police station, as Lawrence Fishburne's character is to be kind of transitioned there, and chaos ensues right around the New Year's Eve. So for those of you that just wanted probably a New Year's movie, that might just be it. The A-Team film. Regardless of feeling of this movie is a really fun, action-packed film. I liked it. Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Love the gags in this movie. Just so classic. Just the gags where they have to kind of like hide the nudity, as well as also the gag of seeing like the silhouettes. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Interesting sequel. Like, I liked the duo of Heather Graham in this, where she's going on and she's like she ends up like kind of revealing herself to a guard and the guard ends up getting distracted, and then they figure out a way to kind of skedaddle. Avatar. Regardless of what people are to probably ultimately think about the sequels of this movie or Avatar itself, this was a big enough movie that I really just was enticed to own a copy of it. Avengers, of course. Of course you have to own Avengers. I don't think I have... Oh, I guess I do have up until Endgame at least. Age of Ultron. I know a lot of people are probably like, well, hey, if you like this so much, why don't you have the 4K Blu-ray, 12 different iterations of it? Because I'm cheap. Because I'm very cheap. And I know there could be a lot more exclusive footage via every version of it or whatever, but anyways. Infinity War. There's a lot of glare coming out of that dome of them. And kind of flashier ones. And Endgame, of course. the Blu-ray digital copy, digital code. Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher. Surprisingly, this movie was actually fairly interesting. It honestly was. It was kind of a unique kind of story for it to be played out. Because I was just so happy that they had an animated movie from Marvel for how rarely it ends up being an existing thing. So I just went into that one and I'm like, good enough. Like, I had very low expectations. Awake. This I had also reviewed on the channel. Very unique Hayden Christensen movie where he's kind of awake during his medical procedure and he's crying during the whole time and he feels everything. Back to the Future, whole collection of this. I think it is to be the complete trilogy of all these. As it says even on the top there, complete trilogy. I'm like, how many does this have? Because I was to go and I'm like, like, does it have only the first number of... I don't think I was ever going to want to go on and collect the fourth one, the train one. I don't know, like, when looking at it, there's... Like, when eventually we'll get to, like, my Friday the 13th collection, there's obviously going to be some missing gaps in there. I think I don't have Jason Goes to Hell, but I'm not sure if I don't have that one. But yeah, that one eventually eluded me for how much pricey I think it was. So, basketball, yes, basketball. Oddly enough, there's just some funny jokes in this movie that I still to this day, like the whole like, and the middle finger that ends up getting like completely just chopped off in the yeah, it's very weird. Basic. John Travolta, Samuel Jackson, the whole like wanting to tell the story right, and it's like a whodunit, and it's done in a very military setting. It's very fascinating to me. Batman Assault on Arkham. Immediately when I heard that this was a Suicide Squad movie, I'm like, I'm going to check this out. How it was also to be laid out to me as to try to kind of be a familiar tone of the games also was like, there were so many appealing things going on here that I was like, I can't ignore this. Batman Begins. I have the hologram of this. Ooh, hologram. Ooh, ah. So yeah, so I do actually have some collector things of these. But again, I go through the smallest of means for things. This is a 2-disc special edition of The Dark Knight. Ooh, I like the way that kind of glows, but I guess that's just the way it kind of... Oh, here's another hologram. This is Rises, The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, it doesn't move that much. This is the crappiest hologram. Well, it doesn't really do anything. And of course, I have the Batman, the Michael Keaton one. Yeah, like I wanted to at first think it's like, this is just the... I thought it was maybe a collection thing. Batman Returns. Batman Forever. And Batman and Robin. Of course. Who killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Batman Bad Blood. the actual animated movies, like, I'm sure a lot of people do not check out, but they're surprisingly pretty good. Uh, not every single one of them, but like there is actually some interesting titles. Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Part 2. I have Part 1 in a completely just kind of separate, just little. I have a thing where I have like a case that just has the discs, and this is in there. So I don't have all of this here available. I just have the ones that are just in case form here. Batman Gotham Knight. Surprisingly an interesting just kind of variety thing, and really did go on and actually enjoy this piece for how, like, I didn't like every bit of it, of course, because kind of like take what you can get out of it, but an enjoyable piece. Batman Under the Red Hood, one of the better, I think, just Batman anime movies, as well as also just, I really liked this story. Batman v Superman. Feasibly, I think I just impulse bought this because I was just kind of like I don't know about kind of the later half of those films, but like I also am to just be a comic book enjoyer of it. So like regardless of if I don't like a superhero film, I'll probably just collect it anyways. Batman Year One. This is really interesting to see the beginnings of this character, as well as also to see like how Batman would use like a limited number of like weaponry and stuff like that to just kind of get through things. It was kind of fascinating to watch. Battle Royale. Really enjoyed this piece. Like surprisingly, a thing that eventually came down to eventually everyone tried to kind of copy this formula. Like there are comic books that have the same formula. There's Hunger Games copy and paste from this basically, but beastly. I know this is probably going to get a lot of crap from people, but I liked this movie. This character goes on and he is to be very disfigured, and the whole thing of it is he has to find someone to love him, and further stumbles upon this girl. Eventually he is to try to win her over, and Neil Patrick Harris is kind of his tutor, and he's this blind tutor, and yeah, like Bedazzled. Love this movie. It's really rather fun. A guy is trying to win over this girl and hopes several wishes can go on and be able to be the perfect man for this woman, and further every single time he tries to go through these wishes they fail miserably, and so at the end you have to realize if he's going to go to hell or if he's going to be able to go on and figure things out by the end of it all. And it's a really rather entertaining piece. I reviewed it in the past. You can check it out. Be Kind, Rewind. Of course, this is like a movie that kind of reminds us of so many other films, so it's easy to want to be tempted into picking this up. The Belko Experiment has like a huge cluster of different actors and stuff in it. Michael Rookers, and this surprisingly was a really fascinating film. Also, I think there's another movie in my collection called Mayhem that has the guy who played Glenn in The Walking Dead. He's in that. I think his name is Steve or Steven or something. And that is fairly similar to this. But I have it in my collection also. So at some point, when I possibly continue this thing on, you may go on and see that in the collection also. Beowulf. I had read this story in school, so I was easily enticed in checking this out because, of course, me reading it in school and being familiar with the character and realizing how, in the story, how perfect of a character he is. So I just wanted to see this rendition of it to see how they're going to make this. Plus, also to finally see what I had only read about in the story. Beverly Hills Cop, the original. We're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Pretty good. Like, a lot of good laughs here going on to this one. Like, I have, of course, checked out sequels and stuff like that, but, like, this one's a classic. This one, like, the strip club scene and everything between is just really funny. Big Hero 6. Again, I'm not sure if I should just hold up the front of this or hold up front and back. I have no idea. Eventually, the more of these videos I do, the more that maybe someone will probably deliver in the comments below if they want the front and back of each of these. I have no idea. I'm just putting this stuff down here for you to check out if you'd like to at any point. So, Bicentennial Man. A really interesting robot film. Of course, you've already seen me showcase to you artificial intelligence. This is just a really interesting piece where a robot wants to eventually become a human, and like, it kind of is really interesting how Robin Williams started to push away from doing so much comedy and try to do these kind of more interesting pieces. Also, just it's interesting to see that story all play out, and it's very rewarding by the end of the story. The Big Hit, Mark Wahlberg and a cluster of other guys. Yeah, like, this is a really interesting action film, and like, bright colors, very unique approach for a film like this, and I just really enjoyed how it all played out, so I would recommend it for those of you that have never heard of The Big Hit. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Really, really fun movie, but eventually sequels over time just... And even the newer, now sequel... Yeah, they really should have stopped at some point. But I love the whole, like, Socrates and everything going into this film. It's a really fun adventure how they go on and they bring back all these historical dudes and they bring them into modern day, and just that way they can get a good grade on their history exam. Birdman really was to have gone on and rewatched this, and immediately when I heard this is basically Michael Keaton, who is to kind of be this guy who is to be struggling with the past of being known as in this case of this story, Birdman, but he's trying to do other things. Like, it is really fascinating to see this movie and how it all turns out, and also other side characters that are involved in the story also besides Keaton. Black Panther, of course. I really love this first movie. The second movie, I'm like, it exists. It's like, the first one was incredible, just visual movie, but then the second one was just like, okay, like, I feel like I've seen this movie before. And Namor, to me, was not an enjoyable character. But anyways, I digress. You can check out my review of Wakanda Forever and hear me also talk about Black Panther as well, because I reviewed most of these movies. The Blade Collection. I don't know why I now have two different variations of Blade Trinity, but I do. I think the other one I have is a special edition. If you guys do not know, there was a Blade series also. You guys may have not have known that. That's why there's 4 things here. Blade Trinity. The unrated version. That's why I have 2 of them, because the Blade Trinity is to be I think the theatrical cut. And so I was like, no, I'm just going to keep both. Might as well keep both. Blank Man. Really funny movie. Really love this. Here's where I always get the I'll never forget you chorus coming from Blank Man. Because I'd rewatch this and I'm like, God, this movie's so funny. God, is it good. and it should be a movie that I should probably quickly forget, but I don't. I still stick with it. Blast from the Past. Really good Alicia Silverstone movie, I believe that's her name, and Brendan Fraser. Christopher Walken ends up making a underground bomb shelter for his family, and thinks that World War III is breaking out, so he goes down into the bunker, and a plane ends up crashing near his home, and eventually Brendan goes on to go to the surface, and eventually is to try to sell all of his parents' wares to then go on and eventually find Alicia's character in this movie. Yeah, Alicia Silverstone. And this is such a fun film. It's so funny and it's so fun. And to have Brendan's character who's kind of oblivious, it's just a fun thromp of a film. If you've never seen it, I would recommend it. This is to have just a cluster of comedy films. Blazing Saddles, Caddyshack. I have a Mel Gibson collection, so there's going to be a number of Mel Gibson titles, and Blazing Saddles will be one of them. I got this for Grumpy Old Men because I love that film. National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation, and Caddyshack. So I can have all of these here. Because all of these were just like, man, all these are like banger films. So get that collection going. I'd recently reviewed this movie, Bloodsport. Immediately I always, like, even though I recently seen this movie, I think more of Kickboxer, where he's like, Naksukao, and give me Tampo, or whatever. Like, there's no lines coming, I think, from Bloodsport that, like, comes off as, except for, okay, you would say. Like, there's really nothing of iconic lines that kind of come off from that film. And that's so sad. Book of Eli, Denzel Washington piece, which is to be about the mystery eventually to be revealed about Denzel's character and how he like battles through so many men in this film and is to eventually have a Bible that is fairly unique to him, and how this all plays out is to just kind of be a rather interesting piece, very dystopian future-ish, and I'm always won over by that. Boondock Saints. Rather fun film. There's a lot of goofy things going on to it also. There's some iconic things, like we have a person that deals with Tourette's that is to kind of be made fun of here, but anyways, there's some unique jokes out of this movie. One of the Norman Reedus movies that really goes on, and I think in my mind very much stands up, then also will get movies like Air or other things that eventually I am to go on and be knowing of with Norman Reedus. Also, he was in Mimic. For those of you that aren't aware. All Saints Day. Boondock Saints 2. Sequel. Not quite sure always what to exactly say in between all of these things, but trying my best. Boone, the Bounty Hunter. I wanted to support Johnny Nitro, Johnny TV, Johnny Impact, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Hennigan. I'm assuming this is actual legit name. I wanted to support this wrestler, and when supporting the wrestler, saw the movie and decided to check it out. So no more thought was really put into that beyond that. So The Bourne Identity, of course you got to collect this movie. You get the whole rant where he goes on about, like, where he's in the diner and he's mentioning about how is it that he knows all these things but he doesn't know his name. Like, how is it that he has to figure out how many exits are in a room before he leaves it, and this and that, and goes this whole rant, but eventually those movies were to kind of fiddle away at some point. Bourne Supremacy, I had seen this one in theaters. I liked Karl Urban in this film, and the way it starts out is to just be a very sad tone for what they end up doing with his lover in the film, but then it pushes to that he's going to get his revenge. I'm like, okay, alright, like I can enjoy this piece for what it is. But eventually it got, in sequels, to just be more and more boring. More boardroom crap. Just Bourne Ultimatum. So, probably more like one-off things than sequel franchise stuff that I have here. But I think oftentimes I think I like the original, and then I can go on to find other ways to watch the sequels rather than actually buying the copies of sequels. Plus, also, I think it was a lot of just starting a collection to eventually realize that I was going to, at some point, finish it up, which I never did. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. Yeah, there is a movie, folks, just in case you didn't know, with David Arquette and Luke Perry. An interesting note, this main actress likes to go on and to have said that she wanted a deep fake done to remove her from every one of her films, which I can really understand that. Like, the checks are all kind of done and over with, so maybe she never liked any of her films that she was in. I don't know, but the Brad Pitt collection. I honestly think I just got this for $7, but I heard Babel was good. I heard Troy was good. I've never seen either, because to me, I'm just like, I had seen Benjamin Button, and that is a really entertaining piece about the guy who ages backwards. That was entertaining, but Bruce Almighty. So many jokes in this film just are still good to be reminded of. It's good. And when Jim Carrey's just dancing around to I Got the Power, and really good fun movie. Steve Carell, like suffering through the hala hala la la la. Bruce Willis collection. This has 16 blocks, Boy Scout, Last Man Standing, the whole 9 yards. I had seen every one of these movies. 16 blocks, I really have a horrible memory about that one. The Last Boy Scout, it's a really interesting opening film. The Last Man Standing, the hardest one to ever go on and remember. At some point I was going to go on and review it because of just my memory of it being so poor. The whole 9 yards is a really just, like, Matthew Perry completely sells you on that film for how amazing his performance is, and then everyone else is okay too, but if anything. Bulletproof. This has Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans. I wanted to get that name right. The one part where Adam Sandler is in the tub on the top of his lungs doing the Whitney Houston song just kills me. As well as also, the movie's actually pretty funny. So if you have never checked this out, go ahead and do so. Bulletproof Monk. I think this one was just another impulse buy. This movie is really, in all honesty, not that great. But I think I did just the Sean William Scott thing where he has have seen so many martial arts movies that eventually he knows how to fight. Like, that was a cool idea. There's stuff about this movie I think there is some cool ideas, but probably also very goofy and poorly executed, so I will admit that, in all honesty. Buried. This Ryan Reynolds film is effing amazing. How we go on and we have a guy going overseas and eventually he ends up getting buried alive to then try to call people from a phone that he had just found and tries to go on and tries to figure out how he can continue to breathe underground and try to figure out how long he can possibly have to be able to escape. And eventually how the company that he is involved with ends up just basically treating him like garbage by the end of the piece. And this movie was just, regardless how dark this movie honestly is, oh my god, this movie was great. This movie's great. Really enjoyable. The Burbs. This is a really fun suburbia film that really is to just kind of be a mystery of what's going on in one of their neighbors' homes and they're figuring it out. And we have like Corey Feldman in this movie, Tom Hanks, a number of actors who are to be really good comedians in so many other projects. And putting them in here is kind of no different. So, really good movie if you've never checked it out. Good comedy, really fun mystery of film, so check it out if you haven't. Burt Wonderstone. I think this is another just impulse buy. I like magician films, and so I wanted to check this out, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so I just impulse bought it. We have two magicians that are rivaling against one another. It's comedically kind of presented in this film of all the goofy tricks they're supposed to do. Like, Jim Carrey's character goes on and is to try to withhold peeing for a very long time, and eventually, like, there's a newscaster that goes on and asks him, like, hey, like, how are you feeling? And he's like, I feel like I gotta pee. Like, there is some goofy, stupid fun in this film, but I'm sure this is a very obscure piece that people probably don't remember, or if they do, yeah, it's a very goofy film. The Cable Guy. I don't know if this movie is exactly aged well, because most of the characters that Jim Carrey's to supposedly be in this film is like stuff from like My Three Sons and Leave It to Beaver, but there's just a boatload of just references of television of a certain time period that is a really rather enjoyable piece, and there's a lot of funny gags in this movie. Like, there's the one point where Jim Carrey, his character, is knocking on Matthew Broderick's door, and eventually he's like, well, I'm leaving. See ya. Bye. And then eventually he goes and rams the door and breaks through it, and like, it's really funny. It's really funny. Plus also the whole Pictionary thing, or the whatever that game is that they play in the later half of the movie. Very fun. Really enjoy it. This is gonna be a really odd piece. Cabin Boy. I saw this movie and I laughed hard. This movie is to be about a boy who ends up getting stuck on a ship, and just a lot of things just hilariously ensue. Eventually, at some point, I think he ends up finding a like uberly attractive girl that eventually he ends up on the ship with, and then they end up together, and I'm not sure exactly why that happens. It doesn't make sense in my mind, but it happens. Ali, a very funny movie that it's been a long time since actually seeing, so maybe at some point, if it is actually to be a thing, I could tag on this and see if it has any kind of bearing of weight of popularity. Then I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna remember all these titles that I have to put in place here to eventually see if anything is logically popular. But if anything, let's continue on here. Cabin in the Woods. This Chris Hemsworth film is to be an interesting film because there's two stories simultaneously going on at the same time. There's the Chris Hemsworth group story, which we eventually will come to find out that there's a connection with the other story that's going on with the two guys in the suits who are going to go on and start to man controls and start to shift around this cabin to put drugs in it or to manipulate things. That way it plays into the characters all dying in this feature. But eventually there comes a time when there's to be like final girl and things are kind of break the rules. Sigourney Weaver is in this piece. It's a very interesting movie that all plays out in a very fascinating visual way. So I really liked it. Also, it's kind of goofy how Hemsworth's character gets killed off in this movie, but I enjoy it. Cabin in the Woods. All right. Whew. All right. All right. So I just got this one because of the Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines. I was like, it's Hines, but I don't remember the first name. The movie Running Scared. I love the movie Running Scared. I think I had seen Cadillac Man at one point, and it is a really funny piece. How we have Tim Robbins' character kind of in this car lot. I think he holds it hostage. It's been a while. The couch trip here, I want to say that I've probably seen like a sliver of this movie, but I've never quite went out of my way to fully check it out. I think it goes on to have it be that everybody wants to have like a bucket list worth of things. And I think Dan Aykroyd's character wants to go on and sing the national anthem at a baseball game. I think that's a part of this movie. Someone can correct me down in the comments below if that's correct or not. Again, it's been a long time. This is the Captain America motorcycle weird goofy film. Right around the time that Captain America came out, they started to release all the other Captain America projects, like even the ones that were unreleased and whatever. So I obviously nabbed all those up because I'm like, yeah, like I'm definitely going to go on. And even the goofy, crappy movies, I'm going to try to obtain those. Captain America, the First Avenger. Obviously, I was going to collect The Winter Soldier as well, Captain America, because that was an amazing film. Love it. Absolutely love it. And put these off to the side here. Captain America Civil War. Casino Royale, one of the kind of the later, more standout Bond pieces. But I know a lot of people are like, well, I like the Moonstruck or GoldenEye or some other, like, this is the only Bond film that I have in my collection, but like, it's probably like not the best Bond film ever, let's say that, but it is pretty high on there. So I do like Bond movies. I have seen quite a bit of different, diverse numbers of them. So, and I do enjoy them. Casper. Rationale of really getting this is because in the beginning of it, we have a cameo of Dan Aykroyd's Ghostbuster cameo, where he's like, who are you going to call? Someone else. And we, of course, have the iconic line of Devon Sawa, can I keep you? Can I keep you? And this movie's rather fun. Actually, a really surprisingly funny movie. I was tempted at some point to also review this, so people like for me to talk about Casper, I probably will. Just twist my arm, why don't you? Just really twist it. Castaway, freaking. Let's get this out. I legit have the Castaway volleyball, so that's not just some Photoshop. It's right here. I have it. So that's how much I enjoy that film. Castaway, FedEx, Wilson, I'm sorry. Yeah. After watching this, I think I would go on and just countlessly just quote somehow to fit Castaway into most of my reviews, even though it didn't make sense. I was like, Wilson, just so we can just bring up this film again, just for how fun it is. I have made fire. It's a fun movie. I love it. The Change Up, a goofy, raunchy body swap film. At some point, Ryan Reynolds' character does a Lorno. So, all right. So this is probably going to be the end of this first part one, and eventually we might be able to do in the future some part twos. So we're going to kind of get to a point where we can just kind of stop here, and then hopefully it'll be at a perfect thing, and I can remember exactly where it is. So let's just keep going. Cheaper by the dozen. Really interesting collection of actors in this movie, and interesting Steve Martin movie. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So I guess I do have more than one Christmas Vacation, but hard to lump those together. Chronicle, an interesting superhero film where eventually people are to have like psychic superpowers, and eventually they can fly, and the way everything escalates in that story is just kind of really fascinating, with one character's having a really dark story, and eventually he turns into a villain. City Slickers. I'm on vacation. At some point I was going to review that movie, but I felt like it was very random to talk about it. Clash of the Titans, the remake. Of course, there is the original, that a lot of people may like the original over the remake. I know there was also the Wrath of Titans, but I liked the Clash better, and Wrath was like, eh. Click, really funny Adam Sandler film. Sylvester Stallone's Cliffhanger. Clue. A really fun whodunit film where eventually they keep going into like, okay, well, this could have been the way it ended, but... And they keep going through that over and over and over again. Cobra and Tango and Cash both have been reviewed on the channel. Surprisingly, it's interesting how funny actually Cobra is. Tango and Cash is just a really funny action romp. The Comeback. I honestly don't know why I still have this movie. It's kind of very stupid and goofy, but I guess it's just a football movie that I impulse bought at one point, and I'm like, alright, well, I bought that at least. I think I think the trailer got to me, where it just... Conan, the Complete Quest. So, this is to go on and be both the Barbarian and the Destroyer, both in this disc set here. Didn't know I had both of them. I thought I just had one of them, but I guess this is the Complete Quest, the complete set. The Condemned 2. It was very hard to find the sequel to this, but I think I do have the Condemned, maybe just a disc or something like that. It's surprising that I just have the sequel. Constantine. Really unique superhero movie where you have a character that really is to be very untrustworthy, and also there's still people that go on and they find and they depend on him because he's the only one that can be able to kind of do things and get things done. Brad Pitt's Cool World. really interesting kind of story where Brad Pitt's character ends up in the cartoonish world, and then we have the artist who kind of draws himself into the world also, and Cooties is kind of a fun, almost zombie movie where kids turn into zombies, and like the adults have to fight back here. It's kind of a fun film. Covenant. It's kind of one of those coming of age stories. Sebastian Stan is in it. If you guys remember the guy who's Winter Soldier and Bucky from the Marvel films, he's in this as the bad guy, and it's all about guys who eventually come to an age, and then they start to realize they all have magic abilities, and interesting play out of things. This is the collection series of The Crow. So the collection series there's a disc 1 and 2, it seems. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why there's so many discs in here, I guess. Oh, the second disc is just kind of bonus materials and stuff like that, so. Crow's City of Angels, the sequel movie. I think this one has bonus materials also. Yeah, it's kind of behind the scenes stuff where they talk about the film, and rather enjoy it. Cry Wolf. Interesting how this movie plays out. Very unique piece for how that is to eventually resolve the way it does. Like, they get together in a room and try to convince people that they're not a wolf, and then eventually convinces, or explains who is the wolf by the end of it all. Cube. Kind of an interesting escape movie. We have characters that make their way into this cube of room to find that they have to very be very picky about what room they go into, or they could possibly die. They're trap rooms that if they go into certain things, they could possibly be killed. And I went into the sequel movie because of how much I liked the first one, and no, I don't think the sequel one disappoints either, but we have a 4-pack here that is to have the original King Kong, or the early King Kong, 10,000 BC, Jack the Giant Slayer, and Cloverfield. I really just think that I got this for both the King Kong and Cloverfield out of all 4 of these, in all honesty, because obviously, yeah. Cop-out, goofy, stupid film. There was even a reference of Die Hard in this movie. Kind of just a goofy, stupid Kevin Smith film, but I think this was an impulse buy also to get this. Crank is a really fun thrill ride kind of a film. The whole objective of him going on and realizing that he has to have like static electricity kind of course through him so he can survive. I think that is this one. Either that or no. In the first one, he has to kind of have an adrenaline, so he has to kind of do all these crazy things to get his adrenaline up. The sequel is, it's high voltage. High voltage is the one where he has to continue to shock himself. Crazy Stupid Love is Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone kind of date movie where eventually Ryan Gosling takes Steve Carell here under his wing and kind of teaches him how to pick up women and how to strategically get them to be in a further relationship with him, as Steve Carell is going through a horrible divorce. Jean-Claude's Cyborg, movie I had reviewed on the channel. An interesting bit of just robotic sci-fi, and it's kind of one of those like Blade Runner pieces where you're trying to figure out who's all a cyborg and who's all real boy. An interesting kind of attempt at like CGI and stuff that they try in this movie. Dante's Inferno, kind of another one of those pieces where it's like a variety piece where there's a number of people doing a number of different kind of arts, and I liked the Dante's Inferno's video game, so I had to check out this just to see if I can get any more story out of this. The Ben Affleck Daredevil. This is the director's cut. Flamin' D's. If you guys have never seen Robot Chicken, you have no idea what that reference is from. Yeah, this is evidently the full screen when I cared about collecting full screen stuff, because like, yeah, I liked the full screen over the wide. So that's just me, my preference. Darkman, if you guys really hate elephants, maybe you'll hate this movie. Or maybe you'll love this movie, where he curses about the whole elephant thing. I only got the first one. That's the only one I really cared about. I think I did see bits and pieces of the sequels, but I only cared about the first movie. I kind of like, at some point I just kind of impulse bought a lot of these kind of parody films, and eventually the further and further I started to see them, the more stupid they got. Immediately when you throw in the word date movie and it's like a parody of that, I'm like, heck yeah, I'm gonna check this out. Date Night. Hologram. This is actually a really funny piece. We have Mark Wahlberg in it, and he's consistently not putting on a shirt, to where Stephen Carell throughout the entire night is consistently telling him to put on a shirt. And yeah, it's that kind of fun piece of comedy, where at some point Steve Carell is sounding like Fat Albert and is like, yo, 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 and Mark Wahlberg calls him on and like, do I sound like Fat Albert to you? The original Dawn of the Dead film, which is honestly kind of hard to find, but when I did get a copy of it, I'm like, yeah, I could watch this. And then now I can kind of watch it whenever, but it was hard to find a copy of this movie. Dawn of the Dead remake. Yeah, of course I had to go on and obtain this movie because of how much I enjoy the whole idea of zombies being stuck in a mall. Eventually I went on to further see that Dead Rising kind of copied this idea, and I liked those games. Daybreaker. Daybreaker's Pearl. The vampire movie where eventually the whole world turns into vampires, so they try to kind of reverse and turn all back into humans. Very interesting piece, because eventually the vampires are all starting to turn into monsters, and so they're kind of forced into needing to revert back into their human forms. Deadpool, of course, I'd have a copy of this. I don't think I have Deadpool and Wolverine, but that's because it's one of the more later films. Here's the Deadpool 2 Supercut, when I just kind of collected all the variations of it. Death Note. Luckily I obtained this because, yeah, eventually when I was to review it, I couldn't really find a good English dub of it, but I luckily had this, so I caught that, so good for me. But if anything, it was probably not effective for people to go on and find this and be able to watch it. But regardless, I just wanted to check it out. The Jason Statham Death Race movie. This one's kind of very dark, so it's kind of dork, so it's hard to tell. Death Race 2, one more shinier. but without Jason Statham. Death Race 3. Rental on the bottom. I don't care, it's cheap. Death Warrant. I think I got this movie confused on another review of Jean-Claude. It's been a while since I've seen this, so it's kind of tough to exactly remember every piece about it, but I know it's Jean-Claude in a prison film, and it's kind of like in hell, if you guys have ever seen that movie. Tony Banderas, Desperados. Pretty interesting piece. I'd gone on to review it, so you can check out my review. Desert Heat, the Van Damme piece. Defendor. It's kind of goofy, interesting film that had some unique actors in it, so I thought I would check it out. I think we're just going to get to a point where we're going to get to a certain section here and then just call it a video. The Die Hard trilogy. This is to go on and have... Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Hard 2, Die Harder. And, of course, it's original. So, then, Live Free, Die Hard. Or Live Free or Die Hard, my bad. Unrated, the unrated version. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and Kingpin. Kind of a good combination of really funny films. One is, of course, about bowling, and the other about them scamming women into hopefully getting some big money. Disaster Movie, another one of those kind of goofy, weird, like variety things that eventually further and further made no sense, but funny nonetheless, I guess. Disturbing Behavior. I always remember the meet the beautiful little creatures that hide among the flowers, and eventually the music that kicks in and, hey teacher, leave those kids alone. Yeah. I think I probably reviewed this at one point in the channel, so you can check a review out there of me talking about this movie. Divergent. Really good first movie, and then the sequels kind of just... It kind of did whatever after that, but Divergent is actually a pretty good film. Doctor Strange. This movie is just a thing to see. Like, I don't remember much about this one, to be brutally honest. Like, these ones kind of, like, the Doctor Strange ones, they're hit and miss. Like, most of the time miss, because it's just like, hey, we're going to try to make money off this character. Then Doctor Strange. I don't have Multiverse of Madness, but I had seen that movie also. Dodgeball. Joni Loves Chachi. Any other kind of huge number of one-liners when they have the briefcase and they have misconceptions about large amounts of money and how movies go on and make it look like there should be a whole briefcase when actually it isn't to come off that way. The pirate, so on and so forth. If you dodge a wrench, dodge a ball. Very classic movie, really enjoy it. Alright, so I think this one might just go on to be the last one for this video. So, and of all things, it's Dog Soldiers. Kind of an interesting piece. You have a number of army men that are all going on and finding this kind of abandoned house, and they have to face off against a number of werewolves, and it's been a very long time since I was going to check it out, but I was to be tempted to want to review it on the channel at some point, but maybe that will happen. It won't. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about any number of these projects, any number of these movies. Maybe you want them as a feature review at some point in the future, or maybe you just have any opinions about these movies, or maybe just physical media in general. Maybe that you have an interesting collection of whatever and you want to talk about it. However you want to go about it. And anyways, I'm just going to try and transition my way out of here. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for listening to me blab about any of these films. And anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.